morning. My name is Oliver. I'm the CEO at Condor Gaming, and we're here to talk about live gaming and whether it can revive casino in a digital era. I'm here in the studio with Evan, Albert, and Dmitry, and we're here to hear from the industry experts where the industry is going and what new products are on the horizon. So, guys, we've seen in the recent months, given the COVID situation, land-based has taken a big hit because people aren't traveling and they certainly aren't entering casino buildings. That being the case, all of you with a very good understanding of the live industry, it starts to ask the question, will the land-based operators start adopting a form of live gaming? So I just want to kick off with that question. We've seen forms of proxy betting happening in land-based casinos in Manila, for example, but what about the rest of the industry? Albert, I'll just start with you. We spoke about some unique products as well coming out in the Asian market, but looking at where we are now, Macau has had, 99% footfall drop. A lot of land-based casinos are on the edge of, in all fairness, bankruptcy because they've been closed for 3 to 4 months. Who knows when people will be confident to go back to those businesses? So it begs the question, why haven't they yet adopted the online through the form of live casino?
Okay. I think, thank you very much, Oliver, for the question. Yes, it's absolutely happening. And I think that's one of the, I guess, the benefits of this COVID situation, of the situation that we're currently living in. I think that land-based operators historically saw live studios as a threat for them to some extent. And I think that's what has changed in this situation, right? Land-based operations are definitely looking at opening the doors to live studios as we speak, because it's a natural transition for them, right? I would say, right? It's a perfect hybrid between, online and offline world. And that is what current situation has achieved, right? Land-based operators that historically thought that this was a bad idea, now they are seeing that actually having a live studio is the only place that actually they can pivot with, right? They can have some revenue streams. So I think that, it's definitely a trend that we're going to be seeing more and more and more. Live dealer platform as a service, land-based, as a service provider to land-based casinos will be very prominent in the next months and years.
Okay, you said it's happening. But what I would love to go into as well is understanding how it's happening. We've seen there's certain types of products that are actually coming to the market. You've got cases where some, let's say, land-based operators are actually pushing their brands out. So the live studios are actually happening inside the casino. Evan, you've got quite an operation, I know, happening both now in Asia and Europe. Have you seen any interest from the land-based operators wanting to, let's say, bring those studios into their doors? What is the feel you've had from these brands?
Absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of interest from the land-based operators. If you go into many of them in Southeast Asia, what you'll find is even at check-in, there's a scannable code that allows you to download their app and play from your room. That's how they simply say it. They're not online, but if you don't want to be at the tables on the floor, then you can just simply play from your room. And if you make a cash deposit, it goes to your player account, and you can use that either in your room or when you return home. So I've seen a tremendous amount of increase, even over the last 2 years. At conferences, they're coming to us saying, we're not experts on online. We understand land-based. It's a different animal online. Can you provide some guidance? Can you provide the systems to go online? And so that has been on the forefront of their minds over the last few years, I would say.
Well, that's really interesting. So there is an adoption coming. I think it's only a matter of time where more and more casinos start adopting this. But it's really interesting what you said. You can play from your room, and you have that through the proxy because they deem you're still, let's say, within the building. But ultimately, the next stage is you can play from your home, but you've registered in the casino once. And then the next stage, I assume, would be you can register from home. So I think it's step by steps, baby steps, but they're definitely moving in the right direction. Dmitry, I just want to switch to you for a second, because the amazing thing is we're seeing this happen in what, let's say, the more traditional live casino. You guys at TVBet, you've got a lot of unique products, and I think this is a whole new market in regards to everything from, let's say, lottery type games, bingo, Wheels of Fortune. So how do you find, is there any interest, because you do have some land-based casinos who have those products? Have you cooperated with any of the land-based businesses over this last, let's say, 6 months, given the COVID situation?
Of course, but all our marketing activities and all our focus was on conversion of the land-based audience into online, because when the COVID situation happens, all the operation in land-based just stopped. And we developed a new kind of product that could help the casino operators to move online with the players. We called it like a betting bar, but we can start to test it only when the operations will start again. So basically, it's a classical bar with the TV screens, and the player is able to come here to order some whiskey and place a bet on the game he wants. So basically, it could be a product that could be something between the offline and online casino, because the land-based lovers are conservative enough. So the visiting the offline casino, it's not just a way to earn money or just to place bets. It's a kind of entertainment. So the land-based operators need to teach and to assume players to bet on the live games, first of all. And then there is another problem. The problem is the database of the customers, because most of all casino players in offline prefer to stay incognito. And the casino operators, land-based operators, need to find a way to collect this data. And in such case, if they find the way, they would be able to transfer all their players into their online businesses if some kind of COVID situation will happen in the future.
Okay, very, very interesting. So I definitely see that there is a transition happening, let's say that. You've got a lot of interest from the land-based. And as we said before, Albert, as you said, this current situation has actually opened many doors for let's say, the live casinos. It also begs the next question, which is quite interesting, products. We're seeing that, let's say, the live casino industry has so much variety that it does allow operators to offer far more than, let's say, what you would find in a traditional casino, because you're not restricted by space, for example, within your physical casino grounds. So, Albert, you mentioned before certain regional products, like coming out of, let's say, India, big interest for Andar Bahar, Teen Party, these kind of games. I mean, at what point do the live casinos or the products turn around and say, okay, there's a big enough market now, we want to diversify and have everything. We know Asia has its own, let's say, set of preference games. What about, and Europe has more, let's say, the traditional, the blackjack, the roulette. But what do we see as the growing product on the horizon? And how is that related to going into markets like India and Japan?
I think definitely we're going to be seeing a lot of customization, right? As these land-based operations come into our world, into the online world, they will want their own local regional products to be broadcasted, right, to their audience. So that's why I think that the platform as a service, I think it's going to be a massive business for everybody, because there's going to be a lot of customization needed, right? We are, for instance, I am speaking with, in the last month, right, I've spoken with offline casinos that are desperate to try to find somebody to provide some kind of online operation for their facilities, right? And from 4 different continents, even from Africa, from South America, from Asia, and they all want maybe some specific games to be developed for them, right? Because they know their players on a customized level, right? So I think going to the trenches to some extent and offer very customized products for that particular audience, which the land-based operator knows, it's going to be crucial. So yeah, I can see definitely you're going to have to customize your products. And yeah, I mean, what you were saying about about South Asia, right? Games like Teen Party, like Andar Bahar, like Casino Wars, these are very customized for South Asian region and has had a tremendous success to some extent because of this huge diaspora all around the world that like this kind of content. But I think that in the future, we're going to go even more customized, these are my views.
Very interesting. And talking about customization, Evan, you touched on something interesting earlier as well. You mentioned that, going into the Indian market, you've now got the studio set up in Estonia. So let's say the croupier, the person, the language, it's all changed. And there is an appeal. A European player is interested in having an Asian croupier playing Asian games. And then you have vice versa. The grass is always greener. But how have you found that? How has been the setup, the response for Europe? And has there been a big demand out of the Asian operators to get these products more than, let's say, the standard Asian products?
So eBet, for the most part, has been focused on Asia. And until last week, when we opened our Estonia studio, that really broadened our horizon and our ability to provide more customized tables to operators, even branded tables. So what we're seeing now is even Thai operators that are looking for completely branded tables with their own unique dealers, local language, local games, and that's what we're able now to provide with our Estonia studio.
Okay. Yeah, this is the interesting part. So you said the right word, localization. And I think this is happening across the market, not just in the live casino, but in the industry in general. People want the local products. Albert, you touched on, Latam wanting their games and India wanting their games and Japan wanting their. But Dmitry, you guys have such a unique product. I've seen it. I think it gives you that sense of, the old TV show games, which are really coming back. There's a major interest. And I've noticed this as well within certain markets, CIS markets, and also part of the Asian markets have a great interest in this product. Are you guys shifting, let's say, your focus on the Asian market currently? And how has the Asian market responded to a product like yours?
Of course, we are thinking about entering this market, but as Evan and Albert mentioned, the market wants localized products. So for now, we are working on new products that will be pleased on this market. And right now we have several partners, of course, in Asia, but they are performing good enough. But the Asia prefers Asian dealers, and this is the main idea. So we need all the markets. I think even Latam and African markets prefer to see the localization as much as is possible. So we are looking for a way to customize our studios, as Evan mentioned also.
Okay, that's very interesting. And again, we've said it that this is the up and coming. I remember a few years ago, which we were calling it the year of the live casino, things really turned around. And even ourselves as an operator, we've noticed that we have such a demand for it. It gives that chic back to the online sector where, people walk into a casino because they want to feel that the glam that comes with the casino. And I think live casino has brought this back. But the irony of it all is that you said it before, Evan, that you can play from your room. And with so many good products coming out into the market, you could probably play more games from your room than you could play downstairs in a casino. But that being the case, I want to touch a little bit on regulation. And we've seen that there are certain markets that are giants within the land-based industry, Macau, for example. With such a drop, has there been much interest or response within Macau for this kind of product? Evan, to you, can you hear me?
I think Macau is relatively happy with their land-based operations, and given the regulatory issues there, I don't see them pushing for online too heavily. But other markets I do see opening up. For example, Philippines is now in an area where it's uncertain where that market will be going. So you will start to see an explosion in terms of online Asian operators in Europe. That will quickly be coming in this month to next month.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly, and we have seen that pattern. So this is the interest. This is the let's say the future of much of the land base. But what I want to touch on as well is you said it before, Albert, that land-based don't want online businesses touching their customer base. But from a live casino perspective, do you think that that diminishes the customer base of a live casino? Because ultimately, I think you walk into a live casino to feel, like I said before, the glam of a live casino. But do the numbers show that taking customers to the live casino is actually changing those walk-ins from the land-based operators?
Well, that is to be seen, right? The thing is that we are a little bit, all of us are a little bit of an unexplored territory, right? What is for sure happening right now is that they are making zero money, right? The live dealer operators at this point. So it is an extremely interesting question, and I think that I guess we will have to see what happens in the next 3 to 6 months, right? What is for sure happening right now is that live dealer is the only option they have at this point to somehow monetize their facilities, right? And I am 100% sure that the consumer, this COVID-19 situation is going to change consumer habits. It's going to change the way users spend their time and money. So we are a little bit, all of us are a little bit on unexplored territory. But the logic says that land-based operators, they must see live dealer studios as their only, at this point, their only way to pivot.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And so it is a way to pivot, but at the same time, there is still this notion that online gaming somehow takes away customers from the land base. Now, when we look at the regular type of gaming, we know that this is not the case. The customer is very different. You go to a casino because you want to be in a casino, and the numbers, in all fairness, I mean, though the online industry is growing massively, they still are years behind the revenues that you're seeing from land-based operators. But when it comes to live gaming, we say that live gaming does actually bridge the gap between the two. And you mentioned something interesting before. You said obviously the COVID-19 situation has changed things. But I touched on this on an earlier panel, and it's quite interesting because the reality for the next 6 months is even if the pandemic goes away, it doesn't change the fact that people are still scared to travel. The airlines are not flying as much. The tourists are not going to come. So at what point do the casinos say, okay, we need to not just go online, we need to take our product online? Because I think a customer, when they walk into the casino they like, you walk into the Venetian, you want to play on blackjack table 6, that's the table you want. And when those operators start broadcasting those actual tables and the same feel and the same background that the customer is used to, I think then you create that essence that you're actually going to play in the same routine you're used to. You just don't have the glass of wine, the beer, or just the surrounding people. But what do you think is going to happen for the next 6 months? Because, like we said, people aren't going. Even though the pandemic, from a numbers point, may be diminishing, the fear is still there. So, how long do you think it will go back for, or how long would it take for the casinos to say, okay, we need to take our product fully online?
Myself?
Yeah, just like timelines. I'm just trying to get an idea.
I am super optimistic about the fact that offline operators and land-based operators are going to adopt this massively. Everybody is going to be looking at setting up their own small studio within their facility and try to capture the online player on a local level, mega customizations, on a localized level, right? And we, the people which already have the distribution channels, can also help them, broadcast their content globally, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. I am very optimistic about the future in terms of offline land-based operators will change their attitude towards online live studio operations, and I think it's going to be. We're here to stay in terms of we're here to partner together for a long time. This is my views. I don't know what Evan and Dmitry think about this.
Yeah, Evan, what are your thoughts on the live casino and the operators' synergies?
I think it's, I don't think anyone today will argue the fact that digital's here to stay and people are moving to their mobile devices. So for a land-based operator to be able to go online, if you have the right systems in place and the right expertise, you're looking at a month's, maybe a month and a half time frame, which is not that great. And we've done it, and it's you just have to find the right partners with the right expertise. So I think The smaller land-based, they're already pushing forward online. The larger ones will eventually get there.
Great stuff. So yeah, I mean, it does answer the question that we're definitely moving in that direction. It's simply a question of timeline, and I think the current situation has let's say elevated or increased speed during this synergy. We're coming down to our closing questions now. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. But Dmitry, I just want to touch on something as well. So we know that the traditional live gaming is already working hand in hand with the land-based operators. But let's say your product, as it's unique, I know you guys have a lot of interest across the European market and you're now looking at Asia. But what about that synergy between you and the land-based operators? You mentioned that there was a number of things in the pipeline, but those products have, in some cases, are, let's say, not all of them are present within land-based operators. But are they looking to increase and maybe build studios with your kind of product within their land-based operations?
Operators can request any studios in any game they want from us. So basically, we can build a studio from scratch and just to give them a stream with the exact game they want. So I think that operators will try to find new white label solutions for live games that could be customized to their brand. And if the brand is strong enough, they can enter the market very successfully and very fast. So this is what I think about it.
Super. Well, guys, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I think the answer to today's topic is that the operators are moving towards the live products. There is a whole new world, and I think some very interesting products that are going to be coming to the market. I thank you all for your time today. Thank you, SiGMA, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.